What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another interview edition of Learn Crypto. My name is Nick Hellman, and today we have with us Anurag Yadav, the CEO of Barter Trade, and Ian Friend, the COO of Ferrum Network. We're going to talk about the current state of crypto and where these two projects fall in the mix. How you guys doing today?
Hey, we're doing good. Thanks a lot for having us today here.
I know these faces probably look familiar. We've done some previous interviews with them, so make sure to watch those. And I'm excited to kind of see your guys' take on where crypto is today, as far as the market, as far as tension points for new users to the space. And then maybe we'll also talk about how your two individual projects are trying to fill the gaps and getting new user acquisition and easier tools to get involved with crypto. Anurag, let's start with you. So we are seeing an interest from institutions and people all over the globe trying to invest, trade, and use cryptocurrencies. What do you think is needed to make this process easier?
I think a couple of things there, to be very honest, and let me sort of break it down, especially from the institution's perspective. They are coming into this, and obviously they see this party going on and they're trying to sort of crash in, if I can put it that way. But to be very honest, the things that they value, which they've always been valuing, is security of funds, transparency. So the basic tenets of the, traditional finance, which have always been there. And this is something which we in particular have been very, very careful while we have been thinking of the space, right from the time we conceptualized our project to actually building it out there. So I would say that those are some of the key areas where institutions are definitely very, very careful. But at the same time, institutions are also in a bit of a fix because the regulatory environment has been so dynamic. For instance, you look at the New York State, you have 10, coins can now be in custody. People can use it, and then 8 coins in listing, out of which obviously Binance US dollar is one of them. But at the same time, SEC also appointed CipherTrace to actually track back all the transactions on Binance, right? So it is this sort of tension, inherent tension, which is there, which is obviously making the institution move a little bit cautiously, right? But at the same time, nobody wants to miss the party. So there's all sorts of stable coins sort of coming up,
right.
JP Morgan stable coin or whatever, you see lots of those coming up, right?
So like you said, it seems like you guys are keeping that in mind with barter trade. Ease of use, transparency, and security are very important to get both retail and institutions in play. And the regulatory climate is ever changing. So hopefully barter trade can stay on the up and up there. I know you guys are doing, you guys are based in India, and I know India's government has been doing new regulatory things over there as well. So hopefully everything's going as planned.
Well, I mean, India also, of course, we managed to fight this case out, and we won it 3-4 months ago, which means the space again opened up, and it was, I think, not a very logical and thought through sort of ban recommendation, which of course was overturned by the Supreme Court. But at the same time, the challenge is that, the lawmakers, they're still grappling with this whole concept of crypto. So while that has been settled, there are still, movement to sort of review this whole process and see if they can be banned. So I think the basic approach to that, at least from my perspective, and which I feel is for the broader crypto community, is that the way they're looking at it is not correct. Rather than looking at, with the basic premise that let's go and ban them, how do we regulate? If that is the approach, then you actually come with a better outcome, right? And I think that is what has been missing largely. I mean, to that extent, I think US has been, obviously it's not at the top, but has been doing, consistently better and better over time with, Hester Pierce being the SEC commissioner again on cryptos. So a lot of good things happening there. But I think, especially in the subcontinent, it's still a little bit hazy. But there is a huge community, as you know. I mean, there's a very avid investor base here, right?
Right. That is definitely for sure. Large population there, and a large percentage of them are starting to get interested in digital assets. I guess, Ian, to build off that topic, ease of use, I think, is a big deterrent for bringing new people into the crypto space. People are just confused, and if people are confused, they're not really willing to learn or take the time to learn or put their money where their mouth is. In your experience, what is the biggest hang up for people before they jump into the Bitcoin rabbit hole that we all have? what do you think it's going to take to get people to kind of move towards crypto assets?
Yeah, that's a good question, Nick. I mean, I talked to different, really different generations of people, different classes of people, my friends who are not in crypto. And I think everyone has sort of different reasons why they may have reservations, some of which have to do with just perceived risk of the space due to the fact it's very volatile. And we have gone through a 2-year bear market. So people are still a little skittish, I think, right now to put their, wade their feet in. But there's also, I think, a concern among the non-tech savvy that some of the tools to do even simple things in crypto are a bit daunting, so to speak. So, for instance, even sending crypto and receiving crypto can be a challenging experience for someone who is completely foreign to the notion of private keys, seed phrases, and the like. So at Ferrum, we're trying to sort of strip away those technical complexities and build products that appeal to a new class of retail users. So for instance, we've built technology we call link drops within our wallet, which allows you to send crypto anywhere using a link. You no longer need to know someone's wallet address in advance. And there's a number of other innovations when it comes to security and private key backup and the like that we believe are key if we're going to actually succeed in bringing a new class of retail investors into the space and keep them here. That's got to be the focus, not just come in, speculate on Bitcoin and leave because they found no real utility. But no, try to solve real problems for people, and that's how we move this space forward.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's what I see within Unifier is a lot of new products trying to, like you said, reduce those complexities. Instead of people just speculating on an asset, actually being able to use it in everyday life. Maybe I buy somebody movie tickets, they owe me $20, and they can send that in the form of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ferrum, whatever it may be. With a link, I can click it on a text message, and we're good to go. No more having to have PayPal fees or having to have cash, which people don't have anymore, or whatever it may be. So I think that it is very interesting to kind of move that needle forward. Do you have anything to add to that, Anurag?
No, I think I definitely echo what Ian was just mentioning, and I think I'm a strong proponent of that. To be very honest, I think as much as familiarity with the traditional systems you can bring into your crypto space, that's when you're going to be actually having their adoption, right? If you build all these fancy, super technical stuff with all these public-private, I mean, there are projects which are, like organic farming or farmers. I mean, we come to India and these farmers, I mean, come on, man. There's no way they would know what is a public-private key, right? And you're thinking them going to hold it, safely. Right. So if you can build a system which is actually appealing and useful for even the layman, right? And it has familiarity with the banking system or the other systems that they have been in use for a while, I think we will have a massive adoption. So I think as a community, that should be our first sort of focus to see how we can replicate that experience.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it there. Yield farming and DeFi is kind of the hyped sector right now in crypto. And, some of it is very complex with rebasing of assets and some of these things and not really audited code. I think that's great for the people who are in the weeds already in crypto and maybe want to take the risk. We're already seeing with the YAM that they're already having issues. I don't think that's something, like you said, that the average Joe, the mom and pop, the farmer is going to grasp. And I don't think in the long run, those are really going to benefit the adoption of cryptocurrencies. But, like I said, DeFi is the hype sector right now in crypto. Do either of you have any thoughts or comments pertaining to DeFi? And are there any segments of DeFi that you think will be beneficial moving forward? Do you want to start, Ian?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm long-term bullish on DeFi for sure. I think the market has come to a realization that the probably best use case, at least for now in crypto, is in sort of the financial sector. So whether lending, borrowing, earning in a decentralized fashion. I mean, there's high demand for this. I think that's in large part due to the traditional finance sector sort of lacking in this area. I mean, I can go to any one of these decentralized lending and borrowing protocols and earn 3-4%, which is far higher than you would get at a bank. So I think that's the positive side of it. But to your point, Nick, too much, presently, I think far too much of it is just really arcane and complicated and risky, really. I mean, you're seeing these protocols fail. You've seen people lose thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's not going to be sustainable. So I think the key going forward is, capturing those positive elements, passive income, lending, borrowing, these sort of functionalities, making sure it's secure and making sure it's easy for people to use. Again, it all comes down to ease of use and bringing on new people. I think if you start telling your friends that, hey, I can download an app, sign up quickly, easily, it's secure. I can press a couple of buttons and I can actually buy crypto and start sort of lending it out to earn interest, even 3, 4, 5%. I think you'll see more and more people get excited and interested by that. But again, it's got to be looked at from the new user standpoint instead of the super technical and super complex, experienced crypto users.
I would agree. Anurag, do you have anything to add? Whether you want to discuss the components that you think are feasible or the components that you think are illogical, I guess would be the term for some of these new DeFi farms.
Right. No, I think Ian hit on some of the right points. I would just sort of add on, maybe this notion that, obviously there, I mean, and you also, Nick, talked about YAM in a little while ago, right? And there are so many YAMs out there, right? These smart contracts are not audited and, you have, tons of money sitting there. And I'm like in my right mind thinking, who are these people who are putting their money over there? That's first thing, right? And, if projects like these go bust, right, it's really bad for the ecosystem, right? Because the power of DeFi is there. We all know it can really be empowering for a lot of people, globally. But the challenge is if this system fails because of few bad apples, or maybe even more than few, right? It's again going to take the whole movement down. And I'm basically sort of, reminded of this whole thing in 2017 of the ICOs, right? How this sort of things happen, right? And to me, one, how that whole thing collapsed, even though it is a beautiful concept of actually raising funds, getting rid of the traditional, venture capitalist clutch. Unfortunately, for some, bad people, it didn't really take up the way it should be. And, so I see these emerging trends as well. So 2017 maybe was the ICO, then 2018, the STO was a new darling, then 2019, you see IOs, and then 2020, you have these DeFis, right? So, as much as I don't want to call it a bubble, but I think there is a bubble emerging there as well. And so people also need to be cautious, but at the same time, there are some really good projects. And I think people do need to support them, right? So I think that's that, you need to do your due diligence and then go for the right projects, right?
Right. Yeah, I would agree there. I think DeFi as an application does have a future as far as, in traditional side, everybody knows about interest or dividends from stocks. And I think if you do it within reason, these 3% interests, these 1% interests, or stake lockups, these make sense. They're feasible and sustainable. And also, I think traditional investors can grasp onto that idea and understand, okay, I can buy Bitcoin here, store it in this wallet or this exchange, and earn 1% on my money every month in the form of Bitcoin, an asset which I want to hold. So I think that is sustainable. But like you said, I think people just need to be cautious with if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Or, what I was talking about with the YAM, it's kind of like the game hot potato. It's all good and grand, but you don't want to be the one caught holding the yams in the end, which, trying to invest in those assets, cool. If you want to speculate on them, play around, learn about it is great. But I think putting a bulk of your portfolio in something like that is ultimately very risky and probably a losing proposition for 90% of its participants. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that is where maybe I can add on that. One is, obviously the kind of arbitrage opportunity, especially with such high interest rates, right? I think people should always question, as you said, too good to be true, right? Are these arbitrage opportunities temporary? If so, then, you really have to make sure you are not on the hot seat at the wrong time, right? You need to be running away from that hot seat.
Right.
And secondly, of course, the security part, right? The kind of risk people are taking because the security aspects are not being there, right? So you can have these, astronomical returns, but, the day's security, glitch is there and you're caught up. You basically, all the money is gone in thin air, right? So those are the things, at least from my perspective, I see how people can think about it, especially when they're going about identifying projects.
Ian, before we started, we were talking a little bit about DeFi and staking and what that means for the space. I think we can kind of build off that here with talking about interest bearing and dividends for individuals. I know you guys are pumping out a lot of new add-ons for Unifier and for Ferrum Network. I'm assuming the DeFi staking is going to be something you're excited for. Do you want to kind of expand a little bit about where you guys are at on that process and why you believe both users and projects are excited to start learning about your staking platform?
Yeah, I'd love to, Nick. So we sort of almost stumbled upon this DeFi staking product. We used it for our own token back in November and February, and realized pretty quickly there could be an opportunity for the market here. And we found that there's a tremendous interest from market participants, investors, and also projects to on the investor side have an opportunity to earn interest on tokens that they already hold and like. On the project side, essentially provide a system which locks up those tokens, locks up their own tokens, and gives them time to build their own technology and develop their own utility for their token. So we've launched this we call it DeFi staking system within the Unifier wallet. We've signed up probably about 15 or 18 projects already for it. So there's definitely high demand for it. And one of the key things to realize is, historically and traditionally, staking was reserved for the big cap projects with main nets. There was no option for early stage projects that are just on Ethereum. But at the same time, you're seeing a proliferation of these newer projects because of DeFi and Uniswap and the trends, sort of the general trends in the market. But again, they don't have necessarily the technology or utility yet. And so they're looking at this as an opportunity to sort of give themselves time and also provide a nice benefit to their investors who have a long-term mindset. So yeah, we're excited to launch this platform within the wallet, probably happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And we have, really dozens of projects signed up for it. So we'll just be rolling out one after the other, and people have an opportunity to go on to Unifier, almost like they go on to Uniswap to buy tokens. They can go on to Unifier to stake those tokens. So I'm really excited to see where it goes, and looking forward to rolling it out for everybody.
Yeah, definitely should be interesting, especially now in the time of very high transaction fees on Uniswap. Maybe people, instead of trying to trade some of these Uniswap tokens, they'll be looking at Unifier to stake them, lock them up for a certain amount of period. And hopefully Ethereum 2.0 can launch, some of the congestion can go down, and then these tokens can become more usable once again in the near future.
Yeah, it's a great point. We spoke a little bit before the call about the current state of Ethereum and the $30 transaction fees on Uniswap and what that means for Uniswap and in the industry as a whole. But I do think it presents an opportunity, like you said, for folks who may not have the capital to spend $30 in transaction fee because they're only looking to buy $100 worth of a token. But they can actually stake it and earn 20, 30, 40, even up to 50%, depending on what the projects are offering. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity for projects like Ferrum and those trying to sort of exploit the weaknesses in Uniswap, which is a great platform, but certainly $30 transaction fees is not sustainable in my view. And even from the centralized exchange standpoint, I think sure there's probably some silver lining to this extreme congestion we're seeing.
Right. Well, you kind of brought it up. Barter Trade is set to launch probably in a month. The public sale for BART, which is the native token for Barter Trade Exchange, starts tomorrow, actually, guys. Anurag, do you want to provide a little bit of info on how people can get involved and why, like Ian just said, why you think a centralized exchange is still vital to this ecosystem, as now we see with Uniswap, the congestion, the cost just gets astronomically high?
Yeah, so coming to the first point, obviously people can get involved, starting tomorrow, as you mentioned, on the public sale. It's going to be on our desk, starting tomorrow. So half of the sale happens there. And as soon as we conclude, it goes on Uniswap for the remaining, and that's when the listing also happens. And also the earlier round holders who were given BARTX, they can then also start to sort of look at swapping that with the BART token eventually. So that is sort of, and obviously the details are there. We can, send out the links as well. So that's one part. And I think we, based on what we have been seeing from the community, it seems like there's a lot of excitement around that. So hopefully it shouldn't be there for very long. Which we should be sold out very soon. That's what I'm saying. I'm not creating any FOMO here, but just sort of my gut feeling based on my response and interactions with the community so far. It seems like a lot of people are waiting for it. Especially those who missed out in the first round. Coming to the second part, I think that's a fundamental question which I think for the ecosystem we all have to address, and I think importantly, the centralized exchanges have a place in the ecosystem, at least for a little while, if not any longer. Obviously the DEXs are coming up, and that obviously is the essence of the entire blockchain movement, that you have everything decentralized. But I think challenges remain with the decentralized ecosystem itself, right? One is obviously the fees we are talking about, and the other stuff, also the governance model and few other areas, right? So I think till the sort of the governance model in terms of how you continue to evolve that exchange and changes that you bring about, how are you going to agree on that? I mean, you look at EOS and Ethereum, like the last 5 years, we've been just going around in circles. We have not been able to sort of agree. And obviously, there's not a lot of successful governance model in decentralization globally. And going back in history, thousands of years, right? There's not been a lot of successful models. So I think as soon as a governance model is nailed down, which I don't think is going to be entirely decentralized, it's going to be a hybrid model where, what level of, let's say decisions are going to be made by the community's recommendation. What are those critical, let's say, in times of attack or in times of some situation? Who else is empowered to take those decisions? How do you elect those people? So I think that governance model needs to be broken down into different aspects. And once that sort of comes together, I think then the ecosystem is maturing to go to the next stage, right? To that level, to that point, I think the centralized exchanges, I think, will continue to serve the community because, as I said, they have a role to play. What I could say is that, as long as these centralized exchanges remain true to their vision and to the community and not get too greedy,
right?
I think everybody's going to benefit, right? Because we need adoption. This is just the beginning of a very small wave. I mean, if I compare it with AI, it took almost 40, 50 years to get to where it is today. You see it in Alexa and Siri, whatever, right? These things were already there in theory for 50 years, right? We only see them today because of all the data sort of movement that we have seen. So likewise with blockchain, I mean, 10 years is a very short window, but the kind of, popularity and know-how and, governments world over are shaken and want to talk about it. I think it's been a very, very positive sort of stride for the technology. But I think we all need to, especially people in the community, need to be very, very careful in terms of the responsibility that it also brings on us, not to be greedy, to be very, very focused to the vision and to the community, right?
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said. Decentralized exchanges are great in theory, and Uniswap was having a great time while Ethereum transaction fees were reasonable, $1 or so. But yeah, you kind of get rid of the new investor, because Uniswap, you have to have Ethereum to participate. Versus the centralized exchange, they can sign up, maybe use their credit card, the bank account to get their first little bit of Bitcoin, whatever it may be, trade at much lower fees, and also have that security. They don't need to know how to use MetaMask, store the private keys yet. So as long as, like you said, centralized exchanges are staying true to the vision, focusing on user data protection, focusing on security, I think they're going to have a place in the ecosystem for a very long time. We see this in traditional markets with Charles Schwab, Fidelity, all these other brokers. So I don't think in the short term that's really going to change for a new emerging market in cryptocurrencies. So yeah, I think there is a place for both centralized exchanges and DEXs. And I think right now, until Ethereum or there's better scaling solutions, we're seeing why centralized exchanges are going to continue to find success. Do you have anything to add to that, Ian?
No, I would just really say that if the listener could take away anything from this, and it's something I'm taking away, is we're early days still. This industry is still nascent. We have a long way to go. The building blocks are slowly coming into place. And like both of you guys have been saying, if the key actors are staying true to the vision of decentralization and staying true to their vision of serving users and solving real problems, then this industry will succeed. But I always just say it's early days. Have patience and have some fun while you're in here.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. That's really all the questions I had for you guys. So is there anything pertaining to the crypto sector as a whole or your individual projects that you want to add before we kind of get out of here? I know another new product that you guys are doing over at Ferrum and Unifier is some swaps within the mobile wallet. And maybe that's a good time to talk about that due to the fact that a lot of small, I hate to call them small investors, but I would say just retail investors are having trouble because they don't want to pay $30 fees. Does your new product provide an outlet for some of these users or what?
Yeah, it's funny. So we launched this feature in the Unifier wallet yesterday, actually, in beta called Swap Drops. It is essentially an OTC trade function using a link. Peer-to-peer, risk-free, governed by a smart contract, and has no risk to either participant, but of course allows them to do a swap in any currency listed in the wallet and for any amounts. And I was thinking about some of the use cases for this, in the past few weeks. And of course, the most obvious solution that this product provides is within the OTC space and basically removing escrow and middlemen from OTC transactions. That's sort of the low-hanging fruit, the obvious one. But then I was thinking about, where the market's headed in with Uniswap. And now with, yesterday it was, I think, $20. Now today it's $30. Like, who knows where it's going to be in a couple of weeks from now. And, so I think Swap Drops also provides a solution there, because with our Swap Drop technology, the transactions today, I ran one, it was about $4 or $5 for fees, which I know is still high. It's annoyingly high, but it's not $30, right? And so I think there's a big opportunity there with this product. But like anything, we just need to get into the hands of the early adopters, get them comfortable with the technology, because it's a new technology that hasn't really been built anywhere else. Swaps that you can, transaction you can enter into using a link that you send over Telegram, and then do the transaction within the Unifier wallet. It's a bit of a new concept, so I think it's going to take a little bit more time for people to get comfortable with it and truly see some major adoption. But it is solving big problems, and I do foresee it being a popular feature within the wallet, in addition to the staking, of course, which is also launching in a few weeks.
There you go. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think the biggest hurdle will be just having to get more projects listed over there. The one prop that Uniswap has is anybody can list their coin as long as they're going to provide the liquidity for that coin. And I know with your new swap, there has to be an interaction between teams and an agreement to be able to use the tech. But I know you guys do have a lot of projects lined up. You already have a dozen projects already listed on your wallet. So I think it's just a matter of time before there's more swap opportunities there, as well as getting Bitcoin integrated over there as well. So I think it's something to look out for. I think it's something that me and my community will definitely follow, as long as these Ethereum fees stay this high, and we'll see what you guys have to come. Anurag, do you have any last comments about crypto or barter trade before we kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to thank the community for all the love and support that we have received. I really appreciate everything the community has done. And of course, we look forward to fulfilling all the promises that we have made, because the real task actually starts now, right? We have done the stuff in terms of raising the funds, but the next step is to actually go and build the tech and do the things that we promised to do. So we are going to be, putting heads down, working on that. And for those who might have missed out the opportunity, or who have friends and family who are still looking, there's another opportunity obviously coming up starting tomorrow, to sort of have another take on barter trade, right? So, and we are trying to do cool things for the community, and hopefully they will enjoy using barter trade.
There you go. Yeah, not financial advice, but you can head over to Ferrum.network if you like what you see to get some more information on them. They're on a plethora of exchanges, but I'm also excited that FRM will be a launch partner for Barter Trade. So when Barter Trade Exchange launches, hopefully in September, FRM will be one of the launching assets, so you can start to trade over there. Right now, they are currently also available on Uniswap, BitMEX, and a plethora of others. So definitely take a look. If you want more information on Barter Trade, you can head over to bartertrade.io. The pre-sale did sell out very rapidly. A lot of people, influencers you've probably heard of, did partake in those pre-sales for BRTX and will be swapping over to BART token, which will be the native exchange token for Barter Trade. So here's a chance at public sale. And then again, once the exchange is launched, BART will be a tradable asset on that exchange as well. With that being said, I'm also assuming that BART will be integrated into Unifier, and I think there is going to be some interactions there as far as BART utilizing Ferrum Network and Ferrum using Barter Trade. Yep. So I don't know what's public and what's not, so I'm not going to discuss all of that. Yeah. But stay tuned for some more information on how these two will continue to work together and really work towards ease of use for current crypto users and trying to get new investors, new users into the space, which I think everybody here watching this video wants to see. That's all I got. Until next time, guys, stay tuned for your daily updates on cryptocurrencies right here at Learn Crypto.